moment, my house has been pulled down and taken from me. Like a weaver, I have rolled up my life, and he has cut me off from the loom. Day and night you made an end of me. And he goes on and on and on. But basically, there are things that made Hezekiah, who we know the story about, and how Hezekiah got ill, and the illness he had was for death, was unto death. And you remember God sent his servant, in fact Isaiah, to go and tell him to put his house in order, because he will certainly die and not live. But Hezekiah did not receive the message with the finality. He knew that it is through God himself have purpose that he is going to die, and he has even been given the message, but in purpose he will not die. He will live. And one of the things he did, he went before God to petition God about the matter. And that is why I come to somebody this morning to tell you, you could be in a place where you are already condemned to failure. You are condemned to destruction. You are condemned to nothingness. You are condemned to mediocrity. You are condemned that your life is ebbing away. Your destiny is no longer sure. Huna tumaini. Masomo ni kweli ushasoma, lakini ni kama kwamba ulikosa kazi. Ni kwamba ulikosa urithi, hauna chochote. Unalaumu kila mtu kwa maisha yako, ya kwamba wazazi wangu hawakunipeleka shule, ni kwamba sikufaulu, nilitumia muda wangu vibaya. Wengine ulikuwa na opportunity, but the opportunity is already lost, and it's like the windows have already closed, and the evening has come, and the shepherds have brought back the cattle into the pen and the sheep, and suddenly the darkness is now coming slowly over your life, and you feel like you are losing it and nothing else can come out of it. I come to tell you this morning, there is a God of recovery. There is a God of recovery. There is a God of recovery. The God of recovery is the God who appears to you after everyone has condemned you and written your case, that your file is already closed and the matter is over. There is a God of recovery. Even when somebody is in a hospital bed, maybe you are watching this from a hospital bed, ama uko katika mahali ambapo tayari you have been diagnosed with a sickness, and you have been told it's only a matter of 3, 5, 6 months and then you will die. They have told you have got stage 4 cancer. They have told you ya kwamba ile hali ambayo uko ndani yake, it is untreatable na hakuna dawa zinajulikana. The processes zenye unahitajika upitie zenyewe, wacha sasa hata tumaini la kupona, zinahitaji mamilioni ya pesa. I come to you this morning to tell you, there is a God of recovery. There is a God of recovery. Yeye anajua mwili wako, anajua kile unapitia, anajua yale magonjwa yote ambayo yako dunia hii, na Biblia inatuambia kwa mapigo yake Yesu tulipona kutoka kwa magonjwa yote. I come to tell you, I am in those class of people who believe with God there is nothing that is impossible. I belong to that category of people who believe, if only you believe, you will see the glory of God. And I come to encourage somebody this morning, there is the God of recovery. Long after everybody has written you off, long after all your friends have left you, long after you are left on that ditch to die and everybody has gone away, God will appear to you, the God of recovery. May this month, as we begin the November month, be the month of your recovery in your life, in your health, in your business, in your marriage, in your finances, and in your situation. I come to you this morning to tell you of the God of divine recovery. Hezekiah is at that point. Notice this man is a king, yet he is in sickness. Why? Because though a king, he has all he wants. He has the money, he has the palace, he has children, he has wives, he has cattle, he is rich, he has all the vehicles, the army is at his command. But now, suddenly, he has this sickness that is unto death. That means, whoever you are, there is a situation in your life which you will find that you are down. Doesn't matter whether you have money, there is an area you'll always be a failure. I come to tell you, even they tell us, even the kings, they cry. Even the rich, they cry. Kwa nini? Hakuna mtu yoyote katika hii dunia, katika hii maisha, ambaye Mungu ameumba inawe, anaishi maisha ya kujitosheresha. Ya kwamba yeye hahitaji Mungu. Ya kwamba hahitaji watu wengine. We live a codependent life. Number one, dependent on God. Number two, dependent on people who God will give direction to our life through them. That's why that Hezekiah needed Isaiah. If Isaiah did not come to Hezekiah and tell him, you know what? You are already in a sickness that is unto death. He could not know what is eating him. He could have died without even discovering what had happened. But now there was a man who came and told him the things that were happening. That's why I come to you this morning to tell you, you need people in your life. Whoever you are, doesn't matter what you have, don't be proud, don't be arrogant, don't write everybody off. Usikae kana kwamba kuna mtu anaweza kukuambia kitu. Don't write off God's servants. Ya kwamba unaona kama ni wanahaja na mali yako, wanahaja na pesa. Nani yako na haja na pesa yako? What kind of a money would Isaiah have wanted from Hezekiah? He only came to tell him the word of the Lord. Avoid this kind of mentality ambayo iko kwa watu wa dunia, that when even the preachers they preach because they want money. Let me tell you, we don't live because of money. No one can live because of money. We live because of God. Blessed be the holy name of the Lord. Blessed be the name of the Lord. That is why if you are going to recover, you got to remove every pride. You got to remove every arrogance. You got to remove every evil perception. You got to remove a certain attitude. You got to remove certain kind of a mentality, certain kind of thinking. You got to remove yourself from the high place where you are positioned yourself, and you be ready to hear what the word of God is saying. If Hezekiah never took serious the words of Isaiah, he could have died, not because God wanted him dead, not because there was no second chance for him, but because of arrogance and because of thinking, I am now a king. I want to remind you the story of Naaman. Naaman was in the same position, a commander of the army, and doing very well with all the ranks, but having leprosy, with leprosy. But let me tell you, we serve a God of recovery. We serve a God of recovery. But at times, that recovery does not come from your discovery. No, it comes from God using another person to help you in your recovery. Discovery will come through God using another person. You remember in the case of Naaman, it is simply a simple house girl. A simple house girl who had been captured from Israel, and she is serving Mrs. Naaman in the kitchen. And this is the girl, over the years, she saw this man, commander, so many soldiers coming and saluting before him every day. But the man could not get out of bed, and his life was getting out slowly by slowly. In fact, at a given point, as a leprous person, he was not supposed to live in the house. He had to live outside the camp. And the girl says, I wish my master would go to Israel. There is a prophet of God. I'm sure he could heal his sickness. And the mother, the wife of Naaman, never took those words with contempt. The way some people treat people, they treat God's servants, they treat the church with contempt. Na madharau. The wife never took those words with contempt and asked the girl, who do you think you are? Your work is here. You are only a house girl. No. she took the word seriously. I believe she did her due diligence and investigated to know whatever this girl had said, whether it was true. There was a prophet, and she realized it is true. And it is at that point when she now approaches the husband, tells him, this is what this girl has said. I have done my due diligence and I have realized it is true. Could you consider? And you know the story. Finally, by the end of it all, Naaman ended up recovering. He recovered his health. He recovered his career. He recovered his position. He recovered his destiny. He recovered. Why? Because he treated the words of a mere simple maid to become like God's sent words because of his life. Today, one of the things that is eating and destroying many people is because they are not ready to be told. They think the internet will tell them everything they want. They think as long as you're in Instagram, you are now above the world. Listen to me. God's journey to recovery means you walk in humility. It means you acknowledge where I am, I need God. And God will give me his word, and I am going to uphold that word. This is what Hezekiah said in verse number 9. The writing of Hezekiah, king of Judah, after his illness and recovery. Verse 10. He said, in the prime of my life, must I go through the gates of death and be robbed of the rest of my years? Je, katika ujana wangu, katika the prime of my life. Now the years of prime life, wapendwa, it is from, in this country, is from 18 years all the way to 40 years. It is called the prime time. The prime time, when we listen to news in this country, the prime time news in Kenya, through either radio or television, it is broadcasted at the prime time. The prime time, normally, it is 7 in the morning. That is when we are informed what has happened, maybe over the night. And then 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. Saa saba mchana. It is called prime time. And then kuna saa 10, lakini ile prime zaidi ni saa 3 usiku. By that time, when I expect, wale walikuwa biashara wamefunga, wale walikuwa kazini wako nyumbani, it is prime time. And during the prime time is when the major decrees are done. We had the days of the late President Mzee Moi, when the ministers used to be appointed saa saba mchana, through an announcement through KBC. And those who are being sacked, they had to listen to the news. I believe there are people, kama kuna watu walikuwa wanakaa na maji kwa tumbo, ni the ministers, because kila saa saba lazima asikilize radio, maana kuna hiyo radio ya saa saba ndio ilikuwa inafuta kazi ama kuappoint, ya kwamba with immediate effect. In fact, ilikuwa ni kwamba kama minister ako barabara na ako na bendera, akitangazwa ya kwamba amefutwa kazi, hiyo gari yalikuwa ndani yake ina bendera, anashuka hapo hapo, anaingia gari ingine, hata afadhali ingie mata, because kuanzia hapo mambo yake kwisha. It was the prime time. During the prime time, it is also when the charges, for example, if you are doing an advert through the radio or the television, either for your company or for your business, during the prime time is when it is most expensive. Why? Because they know that many people are watching. Kwa hivyo kama kawaida, an advert would go for 5,000. During the prime time, it goes between 20 or even 30,000. It is the prime time because you are reaching many people. Now, the prime years of any individual person, I have said, is from age 18, That is when you are expected, ya kwamba umetoka shule, you are clearing campus, and you are getting a career, you are starting to work, and then you are raising a family. By the time you are 25, 30, already you are married, or you are settling down. By the age 40, you have pursued some careers, some businesses, you have settled down, maybe you have trusted God to get a home, and all that kind of a thing. That is called the prime years. Now, Hezekiah, I realize from his statement, he was in his prime years. They are called the prime years. He said, I said, in the prime of my life, must I go through the gates of death? In short, Ezekiel realized that what he is dealing with is a situation that is supposed or intended to rob him the prime years of his life. I come to somebody this morning. Could you be there and you are staring at a situation that is sent and meant by the enemy to rob you of the prime years of your life, your prime moment, your prime opportunity, your prime agenda, your prime vision, your prime dream? The only thing that matters, the only thing which is your lifeline, the only thing that you live for. I come to tell you of the God of recovery. You don't have to die. Even as Hezekiah says, I will not go through the gates of death and be robbed of the rest of my years. When you lose your prime time, notice, it robs you the rest of your years. If you lose your prime years, it will cause you to struggle in the years to come. I heard a proverb that where you sit between age 60, 70, and 80, it depends on where you stood. Where you sit when you are 60 and 70 years, it is determined by where you stood. Mahali ulisimama ukiwa miaka 20 na 30. Mahali ulisimama ndio inategemea mahali umeketi katika siku za uzeeni. Yaani siku za uzee wako mahali umeketi inategemea mahali ulisimama. Kwa hivyo kuna wakati wa kusimama na wakati, na hizo miaka na wakati wa kusimama ndio inaamua mahali utaketi baadaye. So those years when you stand, they are called the prime years. They are called the prime moment. It is the prime duty that you need to have. That means that is a time you need to trust God for recovery, and that you are not going to lose your life. You are not going to lose your destiny even during your prime years. And that is what prompted Hezekiah to seek God, that I'm not going to lose my prime years. I will not allow the devil, I will not allow sickness, I will not allow anything to come and rob me of my prime years, of my prime time, so that I may suffer for the rest of my years. I will call upon the Lord. And sure enough, this man was in the journey of his recovery. The moment you discover your prime years, your prime mission, your prime agenda, let me tell you, you are already on your path of recovery. You are on the side of your recovery. He said in verse 10, in verse 11, he said, I said, I will not again see the Lord in the land of the. Yani, mnataka kuniambia sitamuona Mungu tena katika nchi ya walio hai. Ya kwamba hii maisha ya hii dunia na maisha ya dunia ilivyo tamu na maisha ya hii dunia vile ilivyo. Yani mnataka kusema nitaiondokea. Yani mnataka kusema sasa at the curtains will dawn on me, and then mahali nilikuwa naona mwangaza sasa nitaanza kuona giza. Mnataka kusema ati sasa nitapenda mahali kuna kaaga watu wamenyamazania, hakuna kuongeleshana. Mimi siendi ngo, sikubali ngo, nimekataa. He said, I will not again see the Lord in the land of the living. No longer will I look on mankind. Ati sitarudi kuona wanadamu na nikuwe na wale ambao wanaishi hii dunia. Yani nitoke hii dunia, mimi siendi, hakuna mahali ninaenda. And let me tell you, this man was in the process of his recovery. There are questions you ask yourself Listen to me, people. Life and where you stand is as a result of the questions you ask yourself. The series of the questions you ask yourself determine the answers that life will give you. It is the questions you learn from that makes you have the right answers and the right approach in matters of life. The Bible tells me in Isaiah 39 verse 1. By the way, from there, the whole of that book is very interesting because it continues with the bargain that Hezekiah went on with. But in chapter 39 verse 1, he says, at that time, Moredak Baradan, son of Baradan, king of Babylon, sent Hezekiah letters and a gift because he had heard of his illness and recovery. People heard all the way to Babylon, including people who are enemies of God, including people who are enemies of Israel. They heard of the illness and the recovery. More so, they heard of the recovery because at this point of recovery, the illness no longer matter. Illness no longer matter. It is overcome. That's why the Bible says, overcome evil with the good. It means turning around your situation. Recovery is more powerful than the sickness. The story of recovery is more positive, while the story of illness is on the negative. And all of us, we find ourselves there. There is a story about the negatives of our life, but the story that need be told and what people should focus on, even at your tombstone, it is on the positive story of how God used you, of how you walked with God, and how you overcame the surmounting challenges of life, and how suddenly you are able to turn things around for your life and your destiny. That should be the story. The story of recovery should be more louder than the story of the illness. The story of your success should be more louder than the story of your failure. The story of your enablement is more powerful than the story of how you did not make it. And that is why those who trust in God will never be ashamed. They will never be, because the story of their recovery will always be louder. It will be more powerful. It will be more clear. Listen, at this time, Moredak Baradan, son of Baradan, king of Babylon, he sent Hezekiah letters and a gift. And so you are an amazing man. Always listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. When you see people who have encountered challenges and failure in their life, but they are able to come out and suddenly they become great. People who have had to go through cancer